Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to announce that the TEDx Midday High School Youth event will start in a few minutes. Please settle into your seat and turn your phone to vibrate mode so the event can begin. We sincerely thank you.
Kính thưa quý vị đại biểu, sự kiện TEDx Midday High School Youth sẽ chính thức bắt đầu trong vài phút nữa. Xin vui lòng ổn định chỗ ngồi và chuyển điện thoại sang chế độ Zoom để chương trình được phép bắt đầu. Chúng tôi xin chân thành cảm ơn.
We are absolutely delighted and honored to welcome all our speaker, distinguished guests and audiences to the TEDx Midday High School Youth event today.
Lời đầu tiên cho phép MC Thiện Nhân và Huyền Linh xin được gửi lời chào trân trọng và nồng nhiệt nhất tới toàn thể dàn diễn giả, quý vị khách quý cùng tất cả các quý vị khán giả đã có mặt tại hội trường của TEDx Midday High School Youth ngày hôm nay. Xin trân trọng cảm ơn.
TEDx is a program that supports independently organized local events inspired by the TED format, where people gather to share ideas through talks and discussions. It allows communities to host their own TED-like experiences, fostering local engagement and idea sharing. It stands for being independent organized. This signifies that the events are organized independently but still adhere to TED guidelines and principles.
Kính thưa quý vị, nhắc đến TEDx, chúng ta đang nói về một chương trình toàn cầu tôn vinh những sự kiện được tổ chức độc lập tại địa phương theo tiêu chuẩn và tinh thần của TED, nơi những tư tưởng lớn gieo mầm qua từng bài diễn thuyết. Chữ X chính là biểu tượng cho tính độc lập ấy. Bài độc lập trong khâu tổ chức nhưng luôn kiên định đi theo định hướng và sứ mệnh lan tỏa trí thức của TED.
From prior experiences as both guest and staff at TEDx events, we started nurturing the ideas of organizing a TEDx events for our own communities under our school name as brand. It's dawned on us that the geological barrier and limited opportunities are preventing local students and youngsters from unleashing their potential and airing their unique view on the world out there. On the ground of that, we have been untiringly seeking for a magic door aiming to let students, youngsters and everyone honor their voice and spread their wings.
Lấy cảm hứng từ những trải nghiệm thực tế với vai trò là khán giả và thành viên tại các sự kiện của TEDx, chúng tôi đã nuôi dưỡng ước mơ mang thương hiệu toàn cầu này về chính ngôi trường Mỹ Đức A thân yêu. Chúng tôi nhận ra rằng rào cản địa lý và những hạn chế về cơ hội đang vô tình giữ chân biết bao tài năng trẻ, khiến những góc nhìn độc đáo của các bạn chưa thể vươn xa. Chính vì vậy, ban tổ chức đã không ngừng nỗ lực và tìm kiếm một cánh cửa thần kỳ giúp các bạn học sinh nói riêng cũng như giới trẻ nói chung tự tin cất lên tiếng nói, khai phá tiềm năng và tung cánh vươn xa.
On 23rd July 2025, we were officially licensed as TEDx organizers of TEDx Midday High School Youth events. With this turning point, we will certainly realize the dream of stepping out into the world and bringing invaluable experience to the local public through various inspirational talks.
Ngày 23 tháng 7 năm 2025, chúng tôi đã chính thức nhận được bản quyền tổ chức từ TED. Bước ngoặt ấy đã hiện thực hóa ước mơ, mang những câu chuyện truyền cảm hứng, những giá trị đích thực đến gần hơn với cộng đồng địa phương.
And our theme this year is 25 letters. Why is this theme? We are all familiar with the letter X. Appearing in every single equation, X becomes one of the humanity's most pervasive symbol in our relentless pursuit, a variable to be solved in countless problems. However, among 26 letters in alphabet, it is only thing that we tirelessly chase. A word, a sentence, a paragraph, and even an entire life cannot completely create it with only X.
Và chủ đề xuyên suốt của chúng ta năm nay mang tên 25 letters, 25 chữ cái. Tại sao lại là cái tên này? Hẳn chúng ta đã quá quen thuộc với ẩn số X, biểu tượng có mặt trong mọi phương trình, tượng trưng cho những mục tiêu mà con người mải miết theo đuổi. Nhưng liệu trong bảng 26 chữ cái, X có phải là điều duy nhất chúng ta tìm kiếm? Một từ, một câu hay cả một đời người không thể trọn vẹn nếu chỉ xây dựng từ một chữ X.
So, why do we neglect the remaining letters? Remember that There are 25 letters awaiting, ready to be utilized, to be explored, and break out to monopoly. The theme, 25 letters, wants to encourage us not to find only X, but to discover all the hidden variables, to fully use the 26th letter to dive into all phases of life, to weave a vibrant and multifaceted existence of ourselves.
Vậy tại sao chúng ta lại bỏ quên 25 chữ cái còn lại? Hãy nhớ rằng vẫn còn 25 chữ cái đang chờ đợi bạn khám phá để phá vỡ sự đơn điệu. Chủ đề 25 letters chính là lời nhắn gửi. Đừng chỉ mải miết đi tìm biến số X. Hãy mở lòng khám phá trọn vẹn những mảnh ghép còn lại để vẽ nên một bức tranh cuộc sống đa sắc và rực rỡ nhất.
A TEDx Middle High School youth, our speaker will breathe the regorgeous academic discourse with transformative emotion resonance through diverse disciplines. This event expands the boundary of knowledge, articulating holistic worldview that is both intellectually vibrant and profoundly meaningful.
Và tại TEDx Middle High School Youth, các diễn giả của chúng tôi sẽ là cầu nối hòa quyện giữa những tri thức sâu sắc với những cảm xúc lay động tâm hồn, mở ra nhiều góc nhìn đa chiều. Sự kiện lần này hứa hẹn sẽ nới rộng những giới hạn của trí tuệ, từ đó khắc họa một góc nhìn toàn diện về thế giới, vừa tràn đầy sức sống trí tuệ, vừa chạm đến những giá trị chiều sâu của nhân sinh.
To begin our event today, we are honored to introduce Mr. Đào Huy Nam, Principal of Middle High School.
Đến tham dự với chương trình ngày hôm nay, ban tổ chức xin trân trọng giới thiệu thầy giáo Đào Huy Nam, hiệu trưởng nhà trường.
Mr. Trần Văn Chín, Vice Principal of Middle High School.
Thầy giáo Trần Văn Chín, phó hiệu trưởng nhà trường.
Mr. Phạm Văn Điệp, Vice Principal of Middle High School.
Thầy giáo Phạm Văn Điệp, phó hiệu trưởng nhà trường.
Mr. Nguyễn Sĩ Chiến, Co-founder of TEDx Middle High School Youth.
Thầy giáo Nguyễn Sĩ Chiến, đồng sáng lập tổ chức TEDx Middle.
Mrs. Đặng Thị Thanh Nga, Teacher of Middle High School.
Cô giáo Đặng Thị Thanh Nga, giáo viên trường Trung học phổ thông Mỹ Đức A.
Next, I would like to warmly invite Nguyễn Tố Linh, founder of TEDx Middle High School Youth, to the stage to deliver her speech and officially kick off today's program. Please welcome to Tố Linh.
Để mở màn chương trình, xin trân trọng kính mời bạn Nguyễn Tố Linh, người sáng lập tổ chức TEDx Middle A, bước lên sân khấu để có đôi lời phát biểu chính thức mở màn cho chương trình ngày hôm nay. Xin trân trọng kính mời bạn.
Good afternoon, everyone here. My name is Lynn, and I am the organizer of TEDx Middle High School 2025. First, I would like to thank to all the audiences who are spending your afternoon here with us today. Moreover, I would like to thank all the to my school to let us hosting this event in our school. Moreover, I would like to thank all the staff, guest speakers who have worked and prepared a lot so that we could have a very nice event here. And I wish that you all have a very wonderful time here today with us. Lần đầu tiên thì em xin được giới thiệu, em là Nguyễn Tố Linh, là trưởng ban tổ chức của TEDx Mỹ Đức A 2025. Thì em muốn gửi lời cảm ơn đến nhà trường vì đã cho phép chúng em được tổ chức sự kiện ngày hôm nay. Tiếp theo là chúng em muốn gửi lời cảm ơn đến tất cả những bạn khán giả đã dành cả một buổi chiều đến đây để xem sự kiện. Cuối cùng thì em muốn gửi lời cảm ơn đến các bạn ở bên ban tổ chức, các diễn giả khách mời vì đã có mặt tại ngày hôm nay và đã làm việc rất là vất vả để có một sự kiện như ngày hôm nay. Em xin chân thành cảm ơn tất cả mọi người ạ.
Thank you, Tố Linh, for such a meaningful opening speech. But before we dive into the brilliant minds of our speaker, let's awaken our senses and open our heart with our first performance of the day. Please give a warm welcome to Nguyễn Lại Gia. He's going to bring us a song named Thích Em Hơi Nhiều. Please enjoy his warm voice now.
Cảm ơn phần phát biểu rất ý nghĩa từ bạn Tố Linh. Ngay sau đây, trước khi đắm chìm vào những góc nhìn sâu sắc từ các diễn giả, hãy cùng đánh thức mọi giác quan với tiết mục nghệ thuật mở màn vô cùng ngọt ngào. Xin một tràng pháo tay thật lớn để chào đón bạn Nguyễn Lại Gia với ca khúc Thích Em Hơi Nhiều.
Biết là mình thích nhau, còn chuyện xa hơn thôi để tính sau, hoặc là phần nhau thôi không đúng đâu. Sân chơi chơi là vài chút, còn anh chỉ muốn chậm thôi không cần quá liều. Anh chưa muốn đâm đầu vậy đâu, anh chưa thiết tha nghĩ tới chuyện sau này giúp ba mẹ chờ mong. Em biết không, họ muốn có cháu bồng, chỉ cần ngồi với em chút thôi được không? Nhìn vào đôi mắt em thấy sao một thế giới màu hồng, dù môi đang cách nhau một chút, nhưng mà vì anh chưa muốn feel dù thích em hơi nhiều. Alo, baby em đang đâu thế? Anh ngồi sofa tầm duy tâm ngay cạnh Puku ok. Có mấy thằng bạn nó rủ xe qua nhà thằng Binh Khai không tập cơ mà có hẹn với em. Anh bảo tuần nay tao đi sinh nhật thế nhá. I just want to be by your side. I'm just putting love until I hold my heart till we die. Let's go 3, 2, 1. Hãy nhớ em, tại vì most of the time ở trong tâm trí anh hết thời gian. Ngồi với em chút thôi được không? Nhìn vào đôi mắt em thấy sao một thế giới mơ, dù môi đang cách nhau một chút, nhưng mà vì anh chưa muốn feel dù thích em hơi nhiều. Chỉ cần ngồi với em chút thôi được không? Nhìn vào đôi mắt em thấy sao một thế giới mơ hồng, dù người đang cách nhau một chút, nhưng mà vì anh chưa muốn feel dù thích em hơi nhiều. Baby, anh muốn thấy em trong tương lai gần. Baby, anh muốn thấy em trong tương lai gần.
What an incredible way to start. Thank you Nguyễn Lại Gia for that breathtaking performance.
Một giai điệu thực sự tuyệt vời để bắt đầu chương trình. Ban tổ chức xin chân thành cảm ơn Lại Gia với phần trình diễn đầy cảm xúc vừa rồi.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to officially begin our journeys of ideas. Our program consists of a total of 6 talks from 6 speakers.
Và bây giờ, thưa quý vị, hành trình khám phá những ý tưởng xin được phép bắt đầu. Chương trình hôm nay sẽ bao gồm 6 bài diễn thuyết đến từ 6 diễn giả vô cùng tài năng.
Coming to the stage of TEDx High School Youth 2026 today, our first speaker brings us an intriguing title, The Missing D. Sometimes, what creates the gap between dream and realities is not talents and opportunities, but exactly a missing letter D, a seeming small element that can change the entire journey ahead. What is it D, and why are we missing it? To kick off our presentation today, please put your hand together and give a warm welcome to our first speaker, Vương Gia Bảo.
Mở màn cho sự kiện hôm nay là một bài nói vô cùng thú vị mang tên The Missing D. Đôi khi khoảng cách giữa giấc mơ và thực tế không phải là tài năng hay cơ hội, mà nằm ở một chữ đi tưởng chừng rất nhỏ bé nhưng có thể thay đổi toàn bộ hành trình của mỗi chúng ta. Chữ đi đó là gì? Xin quý vị hãy dành một tràng pháo tay thật nồng nhiệt để chào đón diễn giả đầu tiên của chúng ta, diễn giả Vương Gia Bảo.
Have you ever set up an experiment, mix all the right elements together, watched, and nothing happened? A few months ago, I experienced exactly that in my own life. I have the right books, the right study schedule, and the right goals to get into the dreams I wanted. So now let me take you back to a note saved on my phone. It was titled, quite ambitiously, "The blueprint of my better self." Is what filled with beautiful goals, such as a strict self-learning routine, mastering a musical instrument, and a promise to stop delaying my sleep. The ingredients were all there, but the direction completely failed because something foundational is missing, such as a letter. We have the dazzling dreams. We have the raw drive. But the moment the path turns steep, we usually drop our discipline and quietly replace it with delay. I stand on this stage today because this cycle is everywhere. I see it destroying the ambitions of my peers. I recognize it paralyzing a whole generation of incredible potential. And if I'm completely honest, I see it staring right back at me in the mirror. Time flew by and my goal remained untouched. At 2 a.m., I was awake, exhausted, but unable to stop, letting my own aspiration drift out of reach. Suddenly, while I was doom scrolling, Facebook fed me a video of my dream university campus. I look at it, just a simple video like others, but it hit me like a physical blow. I put off my goals by using the exact technology I want to study. I didn't just hold back my progress, I actively engineered my own rejection. That night, I realized that I had to finally stop these infinite loops. I know my dream university high entry score was not going to drop while I waited to feel ready. That twist wasn't a dramatic failure or a bad exam score, but a quiet, single moment of terrifying self-awareness. At first, I was hyper-motivated, but just until the next morning, all of my motivation was gone. That day, I left my phone in another room, sat down at my empty desk, drowning in the heavy quiet. My brain screamed at me to go back to my game, to choose the easy way. But I took a deep breath, and the last night memory flashed in my mind. So I promised myself I just had to solve only one physics problems, just one. And then one problem turned into hours of deep focus. And you know, here's the reality. My story isn't unique. It is the defining blueprint of our generation. Being the most promising generation ever to exist, yet we are the most paralyzed as well. We waste our potential by waiting for the word later. Delays tricks your mind. It persuades you that tomorrow you'll have infinite energy to achieve any target. In fact, we usually misunderstand that delay was born from pure laziness. It isn't. According to Dr. Tim Pichi at Carleton University, procrastination is basically a symptom of emotional avoidance. For example, when you have to do something challenging, your brain will actively run away from the negative emotion. It prioritizes instant comfort over long-term growth. And inside your brain, there is a small part named the limbic system. It's the emotional engine demanding instant satisfaction at all cost. It represents for the child of your brain. And when you sit down to do hard work, the limbic system will define it as a dangerous threat. Now, let's turn back to the chemistry experiment. You know, before the flash of light or the explosion of color, there is single moments of quiet and invisible strong heat. We call this activation energy, the minimum energy required to activate a whole reaction. And you know, your brain works on the same rule, but the psychological activation energy to begin a difficult task is massive. Consequently, your limbic system your limbic system will take control, leading you down the path of the least resistance, unlocking your phone. But we must calculate the true cost of this delay. It far exceeds a bad exam score or a missed deadline. It is the silent regret of unfulfilled dreams. In physics, there is a basic law of relative motion. You may believe that when you delay a task, you are simply pressing pause on your life. But the universe doesn't have a pause button. And the world around you, your peers, the evolution of technology, and the global standard of success is constantly going ahead. Therefore, following the rule of relative motion, if the world around you is moving forward and you remain unchanged, you will move backward. So, if delay is a warm blanket that eventually buries you, discipline will be the solid armor that helps you fight for your dreams. It will be the bridge that transforms a passing thought into unshakable reality. So, how do we cross that bridge? How do we construct discipline when our biology was born for delay? First, we need to promote our recovery time. Accept the reality that you may sometimes procrastinate, you may delay, but the faster you forgive yourself, the faster you handle the shame that may activate the next cycle of avoidance. Second, lower the activation energy. Stop forcing yourself for a 4-hour study marathon. Instead, trick your brain. Tell yourself you are simply going to open the textbook and read for exactly 5 minutes. Construct a ridiculously easy starting point so your limbic system doesn't see it as a threat. Once the action begins, raw motivation overcome procrastination. And finally, clear the digital smog. You know, we spend multiple resources to protect our nature. Yet, we completely ignore the pollution in our mental environment. We're breathing in constant digital smog, notifications, pings, and algorithmic traps. Clean up your digital environment so that deep focus becomes your natural state, not a daily struggle. We are living in an era of infinite distraction, where businesses are making profits from your attention. Reclaiming your life requires that missing piece. It requires the letter D. Don't let the cause of delay be the death of your potential. Instead, command your discipline, crush the activation energy, and create your own future. Thank you.
A truly profound perspective to begin our day. Thank you, 𝐓rao, for sharing that invaluable insight with us.
Một góc nhìn vô cùng sâu sắc để khởi đầu chương trình. Xin chân thành cảm ơn 𝐓rao về bài chia sẻ đầy giá trị và thức tỉnh vừa rồi.
Now, I wonder, have you ever felt like your life is just one massive math exam? We are constantly hunting for an unknown variable x. Is x for a six-figure job? Is x for a straight A degree? or is X for achieving a perfect model of success before turning 30. And the moment we make one wrong calculation, the moment we fail to find X, we immediately freeze. We feel stuck and failure. But have you ever paused to think, what if life isn't an equation to be shown, but a movie to be experienced? To answer this question, please give a massive round of applause for our guest speaker, Miss 𝐓hiết 𝐁ị 𝐒ụ.
Tiếp theo, cho phép MC xin được hỏi, đã bao giờ bạn cảm thấy cuộc sống của mình giống như một bài toán khổng lồ? Có lẽ chúng ta liên tục đi tìm biến số x. X có phải là một công việc lương 8 chữ số? X là một tấm bằng tốt nghiệp loại giỏi? Hay X là một khuôn mẫu thành công hoàn hảo trước tuổi 30 chăng? Và chỉ cần một phép tính sai, một lần không tìm ra X, chúng ta lập tức đóng băng và cảm thấy bế tắc và thậm chí là thất bại. Nhưng đã bao giờ bạn lắng lại và tự hỏi, liệu cuộc đời là một phương trình cần giải hay là một bộ phim cần được trải nghiệm? Để trả lời cho câu hỏi này, xin một tràng pháo tay thật lớn để chào đón diễn giả khách mời của chúng ta, chị 𝐓hiết 𝐁ị 𝐒ụ.
Hello everyone. When I was 20, I could barely run 5K of running. But by 21, I can run 21 kilometers. And these are 3 medals of half marathon to me. I posted this on my social media and someone gave a comment that, did your finishing time actually improve or you just run to collect the medal and then show off? Wow. To anyone who look at this medal, they present the finish line. The differences between them is their color and their design, right? But to me, every medal goes with unique story and lesson. If I run just for the result, I would have felt disappointed because my last running was half an hour slower than my previous one. But an addition information is that it was the first time I want to give up my race because the weather in Da Nang was so harsh for runner with temperature about 30 to 40 degree and the humidity is about 70%. But the slow run, the worst run, became one of my most memorable run because I learned a lot of things through this experience that I will explain more later. Because I do not define myself by my achievement, I define myself by my experience. So that's why I stand here to talk about what I believe is the most valuable to invest in during our 20. Many of us here may have seen this before. A big white sheet come with a black dot in the center, right? This usually used to show the common habit that the people like only focus on what stand out. And many of us quietly define ourselves with the title, with the result and the achievement. If we just focus on the outcome, just like focusing on the black dot in the center, what happens if the outcome isn't what we have planned? Maybe we felt disappointed because the dot was too little, too small, or with the wrong place, right? We feel disappointed, and others look at it and they judge. Feeling unappreciated hurt, doesn't it? But to me, reflecting on what we learn from experience is far more important than what we achieved. If I think about my reward think about my achievement, I felt proud for a moment and I think, I'm doing great. I'm enough. That's all. But when I think about my experience, my learning from experience, I discovered new ideas and new perspective, and I became more open to learn from other people. That means I grow through the experience, not just by my achievement, right? Let's back to my running story. Okay, running has taught me a lot about myself. When I started run 5K, every time I finished was a big achievement to me. It gave me a big confidence. But by the 5th and by the 6th time, the excitement wore off. Why? Because my finishing time wasn't any faster. And one night, when after a 5K run, my leg was hurting so badly that I couldn't sleep, I took my time to look at the medal on my shelf and started asking myself, why running the same 5K gave me mixed emotion, excitement, guilty, regret, and feeling not enough. Then I realized that I spent so much my energy to chase surface level achievement. Then I chose to change my goal, not to track my time, but pay my attention to the things around me, like how my body worked together to keep me moving, how I adapted to the new running path, and feeling grateful for the good weather, feeling lucky to have a running mate, and feeling motivated I seeing many runners around me. That small shift bring back many joy back to my run. And that joy was a motivation for me to share my love of running for my friends. Yeah. And I know some studies about how our brains work. Our motivation system is built for constantly look for the bigger challenges and set higher expectation. That's the reason why happiness from achievement usually lasts so short. It quickly fades and pushing us to pursuing more challenging one. And that's completely true with my run. When I first run 21 kilometers, my goal is simply finish. But my second, I wanted to finish under 2.5 hours. But to my third, I want to be more faster. Then I failed. I was actually much more slower than my previous one, but if my brain reward is tied only with my finish line result, this would be disaster for me. But the worst run became my most memorable first of my life, because to have a big smile on my face you see on the screen. 4 days ago, I have to plan my first solo trip from Hanoi to Đà I had to learn how to protect myself safe in a new city alone. I have to use my willpower to convince my hot and exhausted body to keep moving to the finish line, not quitting the race. And the experience showed that I am resourceful, I'm resilient, and I am capable of keeping calm under pressure. And I think a real look at who I am was far more rewarding than any finish line result. At Gen Z now, we are spend much time scrolling throughout social media, right? And the algorithm constantly show us a successful and extraordinary people. But the social media is where the people show you what they want you to see. As a content creator, I totally know that. Every single story here today don't tell you any story, any lesson, any experience like I show you above, right? So do not compare you to anyone's story, because we are all runners with different distances, with different paces, and running under different conditions. Yeah. But I still love social media because that's where I can find the advices for young generation from experienced mentor. And if there's just one thing I learned from them, is that when we are young, collect experience and don't be afraid to fail. Because in our youth, we have the biggest question to answer. Who am I? And no one can help you to answer this question instead of you. You have to learn, have to discover who you are through experience. And that's why no experience are wasted. Every effort, every small win, every time you feel lost, every time you feel not enough, they are letters in your alphabet and bring the story who you are. I'm not standing here to convince you stop, find your X, your goal, and your success in your life. But if you can, choose to chase experience. I'm Thu Hương. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Ms. Thu Hương, for that elegant and thoughtful provoking presentation.
Xin chân thành cảm ơn chị Thu Hương vì bài diễn thuyết vô cùng tinh tế và gợi mở nhiều suy ngẫm vừa rồi.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have just absorbed two incredibly powerful ideas. Before we move to our third speaker, we want to give your minds a brief, engaging interlude. Therefore, we are going to pause for a quick interactive game break.
Thưa quý vị, chúng ta vừa tiếp nhận hai ý tưởng vô cùng mạnh mẽ. Trước khi đến với diễn giả thứ ba, hãy cùng thư giãn một chút với phần game break và sự tương tác cực kỳ thú vị. Và với hoạt động này, MC xin phép nói tiếng Việt để đảm bảo sự tương tác liền mạch giữa MC và khán giả. Game thứ nhất, chúng ta sẽ bước vào trò chơi đầy thú vị mang tên Nhìn hình đoán tên. Ban tổ chức sẽ chiếu lên màn hình hình ảnh điển hình của một bộ phim nào đó, và nhiệm vụ của người đó chính là nhìn hình ảnh này và đoán tên bộ phim chứa hình ảnh.
Và khán giả nào biết câu trả lời thì sẽ giơ tay thật nhanh để MC xin được câu trả lời của các bạn. Và nếu trả lời đúng thì các bạn sẽ nhận được phần quà từ ban tổ chức. Và phần chơi đầu tiên bắt đầu.
Có bạn nào biết đây là bộ phim nào không ạ? Dạ, em xin mời
em xin mời
hai anh ạ.
Anh ngồi bàn thứ hai ạ.
Đây là bộ phim Harry Potter của tác giả J.K. Rowling.
Dạ, đáp án vô cùng chính xác. Xin chúc mừng anh ạ. Đến với hình ảnh phim thứ hai, bạn nào biết ạ?
Vâng, một bộ phim vô cùng nổi tiếng đúng không ạ?
Có thể nói cả tên tiếng Anh và có thể nói bằng tên tiếng Việt đều được công nhận đáp án hết ạ. Xin mời bạn nữ đang giơ tay rất cao rồi ạ. Xin mời bạn.
Mình xin đoán đây là nhân vật Judy Hopps và Nick Quay của Zootopia.
Câu trả lời có chính xác không tất cả các bạn khán giả ở trong chương trình? Dạ vâng, đây là đáp án vô cùng chính xác. Xin chúc mừng bạn. Đến với hình ảnh phim thứ ba. Bạn nào biết ạ? Mình xin mời bạn nữ ở trong góc đang giơ tay kia ạ.
Để tăng độ khó thì yêu cầu bạn trả lời cả tên tiếng Anh nhé.
Đó là talent.
Tên tiếng Việt của nó là gì ạ?
Công chúa tóc mây ạ.
Vâng, talent, công chúa tóc mây, đáp án hoàn toàn chính xác. Xin mời phần quà đến cho bạn. Và bộ phim tiếp theo. Bộ phim này cũng rất nổi tiếng, đúng không ạ?
Bạn nào biết xin hãy giơ tay thật cao lên ạ.
Biết tên tiếng Anh cũng được ạ. Xin mời anh Lê Nhật Nam. Dạ, các bạn có biết tên tiếng Anh của bộ phim này không ạ? Nếu không biết thì dành cho anh Lê Nhật Nam nào.
Câu trả lời là Encanto.
Vâng, Encanto, vùng đất thần kỳ, một đáp án hoàn toàn chính xác.
Đến với bộ phim tiếp theo ạ. Bộ phim này ai biết ạ? Xin mời bạn nữ ngồi ở hàng cuối của hậu trường.
Nổi tiếng quá nhở.
Mình xin trả lời đây là bộ phim Hậu duệ mặt trời.
Đáp án vô cùng chính xác.
Vâng, hoàn chính xác, Hậu duệ mặt trời. Và bộ phim tiếp theo. Ồ, khó à nha. Khó rồi. Nào, mạnh dạn lên nào.
Hình như trong hội trường có một bạn đang nói đúng tên rồi đấy ạ. Các bạn hãy mạnh dạn giơ tay lên.
Chúng mình mạnh dạn lên. Rồi, xin mời Đức Anh.
Đây là bộ phim Reup đập phá.
Reup đập phá, chính xác, xin chúc mừng.
Đến với bộ phim tiếp theo ạ.
Cái này ai uống sữa nhiều sẽ biết này. Ồ, dễ quá nhở. Rồi, xin mời em.
Em thưa, đây là bộ phim Gia đình siêu nhân.
Vâng, Gia đình siêu nhân, hoàn toàn chính xác. Nào, xin mời bộ phim tiếp theo. Ồ, nhìn cái là biết ngay. Xin mời chị Thu Hương ạ.
Theo mình đoán câu trả lời sẽ là bộ phim Up. Tiếng Việt. Vút bay ạ.
Up and vút bay, hoàn toàn chính xác, xin chúc mừng chị Hương.
Đến với bộ phim tiếp theo ạ. Khá là quen thuộc và mọi người cũng khá là dễ đoán đúng không ạ? Bạn nào biết hãy giơ tay thật cao lên ạ. Xin mời bạn nữ ngồi ở góc kia ạ.
Dạ, đáp án của em bộ phim này là Inside Out ạ.
Một đáp án vô cùng chính xác ạ. Xin cảm ơn bạn.
Vâng, Inside Out và những mảnh ghép cảm xúc. Xin mời. Cái này khó này. Cái này phải dân chuyên đi xem phim mới trả lời được đấy. Nào, xin mời cánh tay. Rồi, Vương Gia Bảo.
Em xin trả lời đây là bộ phim Toy Story ạ.
Toy Story thì tiếng Việt của nó là gì nhỉ?
Là thành phố đồ chơi ạ.
Được rồi, Toy Story, câu chuyện đồ chơi. Chấp nhận đáp án thành phố đồ chơi của bạn. Vâng, Toy Story, câu chuyện đồ chơi rồi, nhưng mà bạn đấy lại cho thành phố đồ chơi. Cũng được. Nào, xin mời. Dễ quá nhở.
Dạ, xin mời bạn Nam ạ.
Em đưa luôn.
Đây là phim Đi giữa trời rực rỡ ạ.
Thì có biết tên tiếng Anh của nó là gì không?
I don't know.
Vâng, bộ phim này do Việt Nam sản xuất nên không có tên tiếng Anh, đúng rồi. Đi giữa trời rực rỡ, xin chúc mừng bạn.
Và đến với bộ phim cuối cùng cũng là cơ hội cuối cùng dành cho các bạn. Quá dễ đúng không ạ? Mình đếm 3, 2, 1, bạn nào giơ tay nhanh nhất thì sẽ được gọi nhá. 3, 2, 1. Xin mời bạn Nam ngồi bên cạnh bạn Hà Anh đây ạ.
Dạ em xin thưa đây là bộ phim Titanic ạ.
Titanic. Bạn diễn cảnh này bao giờ chưa? Chưa.
Titanic là một đáp án vô cùng chính xác. Xin chúc mừng bạn. Và chúng ta đã kết thúc game số 1. Game số 2 thì MC sẽ đưa ra một câu nói và mời ngẫu nhiên một bạn khán giả trong hậu trường để nối tiếp thành một câu chuyện. MC Sương xin đưa ra câu nói đầu tiên là hôm nay chúng mình cùng đi sự kiện TEDx.
Để nối vào câu vừa rồi để tạo thành một đoạn văn có ý nghĩa cũng được ạ. Rất là dễ đúng không ạ? Chúng mình nghĩ cái gì là chúng mình nói cái đấy thôi. Và
mời bất kỳ bạn nào cũng được.
Chúng mình sẽ MC xin được mời bất kỳ nhé. Hôm nay chúng mình đi sự kiện TEDx.
Và xin mời bạn nữ ngồi góc trong kia, mình có thể nối một câu để tạo thành một câu chuyện ý nghĩa trong ngày hôm nay được không ạ?
TEDx rất vui ạ.
Vâng, hôm nay mình đi sự kiện TEDx. TEDx rất vui. Câu tiếp theo đi ạ.
Câu tiếp theo xin mời MC mời anh luôn ạ.
Xin nối tiếp câu tiếp theo, đó là chúng ta cùng tạo ra nhiều kỳ tích.
Chúng ta cùng tạo ra nhiều kỳ tích. Xin một tràng pháo tay ạ. Vâng, câu rất hay. Câu nói rất hay. Và câu tiếp theo xin mời MC có thể chỉ định bất kỳ bạn nào cũng được.
Em xin mời cô ạ.
𝐓rao rất vinh dự được tổ chức sự kiện này.
Vâng, xin một tràng pháo tay dành cho cô. 𝐓rao rất vinh dự tổ chức sự kiện này.
Và xin mời MC Thiện Nhân sẽ mời một số bạn bên tay trái của mình.
Dạ, mình sẽ MC xin được mời hai thầy rất nổi bật ở đây, hai thầy dạy tiếng Anh và hai thầy là người nước ngoài. Các thầy có thể nói tiếng Anh, sau đó thì MC sẽ dịch sang cũng được ạ. Can you give me a sentence to...
Okay. Yeah, this event has been really amazing so far. The people who have spoken have given very informative and insightful speeches. And I'm very happy to be here. And the energy is very good today. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, I agree with my friend here. We are very happy to join you all for the TEDx event. And thank you to 𝐓rao for hosting. And we look forward to hearing the rest of the talks. Thank you so much.
Xin một tràng pháo tay dành cho hai thầy ạ. Các thầy nói rằng các thầy rất vui và rất vinh dự khi được tham gia sự kiện TEDx, khi mà Mỹ Đức là chủ nhà tổ chức sự kiện TEDx đầu tiên trong khu vực Mỹ Đức Ứng Hòa. Và xin mời các bạn. Nào, chúng mình tiếp tục nào. Mạnh dạn lên. Được tiếng Anh càng tốt nhá.
Chúng em đến đây chỉ vì bánh su kem ạ.
Chúng em đến đây chỉ vì bánh su kem và hẹn bạn Hải Long ở phần sau của chương trình xem bạn có được thưởng thức bánh su kem của chương trình TEDx không nhá. Và một bạn cuối cùng để chúng ta kết lại phần câu chuyện TEDx của chúng ta ngày hôm nay. Mình xin mời bạn.
Cùng nhau vui vẻ. Vâng, cùng nhau vui vẻ. Chúng tôi cũng đang rất vui đây ạ.
Xin cảm ơn tất cả các bạn đã tham gia một cách nhiệt tình và hưởng ứng những trò chơi mà TEDx mang lại. Congratulations to our winner and thank you on your wonderful enthusiasm. Now that we are fully re-energized, let us return to our talk.
Và xin chúc mừng các khán giả may mắn đã trải qua 2 phần game. Xin cảm ơn sự hưởng ứng của quý vị. Giờ thì năng lượng đã được sạc đầy và hãy cùng trở lại những câu chuyện tiếp theo đang đón chờ chúng ta khai phá.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to the event today, our third speaker has explored a unique aspect related to the skin with a presentation titled The Skin We Grow Into. The guy she will guide us through a fascinating scientific and personal journey. Through a profound parallel between human biology and personal growth, she invites us to look into the mirror and rethink what it truly means to evolve. Please welcome to the stage our speaker, Lê Trần Khánh Vi.
Kính thưa quý vị, đến với sự kiện hôm nay, diễn giả thứ 3 của chúng ta sẽ mang đến một góc nhìn rất độc đáo liên quan đến một yếu tố sinh học, đó là làn da. Với bài diễn thuyết The Skin We Grow Into, cô ấy sẽ dẫn dắt chúng ta qua một hành trình kết nối giữa sinh học con người và sự phát triển cá nhân. Xin quý vị cùng nồng nhiệt chào đón diễn giả của chúng ta, Lê Trần Khánh Vi.
Every morning, before I meet anyone else, I meet one person first. It's the girl in the mirror. And for a long time, that meeting felt like an inspection. What needs to improve? What needs to change? What needs to be added today? I want to ask you all a quick question by a simple show of hands. How many of you looked in the mirror this morning? Or just even checked your front-facing camera? And your very first instinct was a critique. A blemish to hide, an imperfection to fix, or a sign of tiredness you wished wasn't there. Almost all of us, we are conditioned to treat our reflection as a checklist of flaws. As I stand there scrutinizing my own skin texture and every small detail reflected back at me, it strikes me how relentlessly we demand perfection from ourselves, always desperate for the next addition. But that obsession with collecting title isn't accidental. It is hardwired into us from day one, starting with the very first tool we are given to construct our potential, the alphabet. A stands for achievement, B is for better, C for certificates, and D definitely for discipline. And the alphabet continues. More goals, more experiences, more title, more things to add. For a long time, I believe growth meant exactly that, adding more. So I threw myself into everything. Back in time, my typical day felt like a breathless sprint. Navigating early morning classes while keeping track of nearly 10 school organizations, using my lunch breaks to draft media and communication campaigns, and rushing straight from an after-school basketball practice to a Model United Nations conference. By night, I was sitting under a desk lamp, juggling online certifications, writing essays for innovation challenges, and working on my next drawing project. Oh, I adopted a completely unsustainable rhythm, skipping meals and chasing endless deadlines at 3 a.m. just to keep up with the chaos. One night, I stared into the blackout screen of my drained device, and I confronted a sudden, painful breakout. And yes, that is the real photo of me just a week ago. That is the final eruption. It is a warning sign that my body was finally forcing me to see the internal strain I had been running on. And that split second struck me with an unexpected question and language to decode what I was doing to myself. That questioning language is human biology. You know that decades ago, pioneering dermatologists Dr. Albert Glickman, Dr. John S. Strauss, and their colleagues revolutionized the field by mapping out what actually happens under the microscope during the earliest subclinical stages of the most common skin condition, acne vulgaris, affecting up to 85% of adolescents and young adults. They prove that a visible breakout is never an overnight mistake, but rather a failure of a system to clear itself out. And here, when you can see where the follicular canals is where the problems really begins. It is illustrated as the blue thing right here, the empty tunnel that is inside the skin that hairs grow through. It's become widely dilated and being filled with keratin, the building blocks of our dead skin cell. In a healthy system, these cells are supposed to shed and release. But here, they refuse to leave. They cling together with oil from the gland, day after day, building up into a tight, silent obstruction known as a microcomedone, or you can understand that is the absolute start of a pimple. This happens because the small, inconspicuous vellus hair cannot keep the follicle cleared out. And this is when the problems happens. When the follicle is being trapped in itself. When the problems begins when the things is being trapped in itself. Is being wide dilated and then filled with keratin. And then that is the problem when the internal capacity, they cannot help themselves. They accumulate and they building up into a tight and silent obstruction known as the microcomedon, or in short, that is when the oil under the skin mixes with layers of dead keratin, and we finally see the results of a pimple. Back to reality, catch my reflection on the black screen, comparing how that congestion builds beneath my skin to the way I grow in real life. A perfect parallel emerge. Through this physical metaphor, both reveals themselves as systems literally overloaded by their own production. We are creatures addicted to accumulation. We keep compounding the weight of external expectation, certificates, and achievement. But at the same time, we are too terrified to ever let anything go. And then, I need to remind you, keep in mind that burnout doesn't hit us on the day we collapse. And overwhelm doesn't begin on the morning we finally admit we are exhausted. Those are the final, visible eruptions of a lifestyle where the demand we imported completely choked our internal capacity to process them. Once you let the dust to settle, you will find yourself facing the 25th letters of the alphabet. Not the letter Y as an answer, but the letter Y as a question. Why? Why this goal and why now? Why do I want it? And who would I be without it? And that question eventually leads me to something even more intriguing. Z. Not because it is the last letter in the alphabet. To me, Z stands for zero. Yes, zero. The point where motion slows down enough for meaning to catch up. Not zero ambition, not zero effort, and not zero dreams. Zero is the deliberate pause between addition. The space long enough to observe what our previous choices are actually doing. The space where the invisible results become visible. The space long enough for we to decide what to add next. When I first entered this space of zero, I started by looking at my massive list of desires and finding the courage to become aggressively picky about what actually deserves my time. Because I think reflection is not a pause in growth. Reflection is a part of growing up. And I can see that when we're all having this moment of zero, each of us will experience in a very different way. For you, if you're an artist, a moment of zero might be when you take a step back from the canvas to see the full composition, because you simply cannot see the overall progress when your face is pressed flat against the paint. And if you're a reader, imagine a heavy backpack. Every day, someone hands you another brilliant book. Even if every single book is useful on its own, eventually it becomes too heavy to carry everything. And that is when I know, without a moment of zero, achievements become addiction. Better becomes burnout. Curiosity becomes chaos. And discipline definitely becomes a disaster. And so, with a moment of zero, then you will see that it's the only letters that allows other letter to matter. And it's the phase where we can see that it's the phase for us to choose, not too crazy, addicted to it like a compulsion. And the skin we grow into is not a story about becoming more. is the boundary where we know what to add, what to nurture, and what we must finally let go. Tomorrow morning, I will stand in front of the same mirror. The mirror won't change. My skin probably won't either in one night. But maybe I'll be looking at it differently. Because after spending years and years and years collecting letters, I'm starting to wonder, and I hope you all do too, whether the most important thing we can add next is a moment of zero. Thank you.
Thank you, Khánh Vi, for addressing such an exceptional topic with such enthusiasm.
Cảm ơn diễn giả Khánh Vi với một góc nhìn sinh động và đầy cuốn hút.
Before moving forward to the next talk, I would like to tell you all about one fact we cannot deny. We almost spend our entire life chasing success, collecting degrees, titles, and applause. But what happens when lights go down, the label vanishes, and we are left alone? Do we actually know the person looking back at us in the mirror? Coming to the event today, our second guest speaker, Mr. 𝐓rao, will show his profile and comprehensive outlook about this problem. Please welcome to the TEDx stage, Mr. 𝐓rao, the Jasmine guy, with his talk. Congratulations. Now, who are you?
Có một thực tế là hầu hết chúng ta đều dành cả đời để theo đuổi sự thành công, tích lũy bằng cấp, danh hiệu hay những tràng vỗ tay. Nhưng điều gì sẽ xảy ra khi ánh đèn sân khấu vụt tắt, những chiếc nhãn dán rơi xuống và ta chỉ còn lại một mình? Và ta có thực sự biết người đang nhìn mình trong gương là ai? Diễn giả khách mời tiếp theo, anh 𝐓rao, The Jasmine Guy, sẽ mang đến góc nhìn sâu sắc và toàn diện về vấn đề này qua bài nói Congratulations, now who are you? Xin mời.
So it's been a delightful event for me so far, and it's been a greatest pleasure to be here with all of you here today. And my name is Nam. You can call me Nam, or the Jasmine Guy is my writer's nickname. So throughout my journey of growing myself, I grew up like 2,000 kilometers away from here. I grew up in the southern part of Vietnam. I grew up in Cà Mau City, so it's very, very far away. And I'm from the south, but I have been in the northern of Vietnam for 6 years now. And it's been a great and like an amazing experience of adapting and being very flexible. And I have my current job at a university, international university, and I also work as a writer. I published 2 books, and I have several talks before. And so it's been a great experience to come and meet people and talk to them about the ideas that I have. And this is my 10th TEDx talk, so it's been a great milestone for me as well. So thank you all for being here today and to listen to me. Yeah, thank you. I'm very grateful actually. So the title of my talk is going to be Congratulations! Now, who are you? That's the question. Every single time I come to schools to deliver talks, I come back home, I close the door, and then I am Nam again. I am just the normal, boring Nam on my own. So I keep asking myself, who are you? Who am I? So if I ask you that question, you would probably think 10,000 kinds of replies that you are going on in your mind right now. So you might say, yay, I am plus your name, or you will say, I am a student. You will come up with several nouns to describe yourself, full of letters here. So this is me. This is my profile. This is my name and all of the achievements I have so far and my long and long and long biography of mine. So I keep asking myself, what would happen if I remove every single thing, every glamorous thing that ever happened in my life? What would I have left? That's the question I usually ask my mentees or the audience who comes to my talk, that if you make a list of all your achievements like I did, and you remove all of them, what will you have left to define yourself? My answer would be, you will always have your name left. So, does your name have any meaning without all the achievements, all the certificates? If your name has a meaning because it is defined by your achievements, then that should be something that we should think more about. If your name only has meaning because of what other people think of you, and trust me, I've been writing since 2021, so it's been 5 years now, and a lot of people hate me, they love me, they criticize me, they compliment me. I've been through all kinds of roller coasters of emotions and comments. But what I've learned is that if you let your identity be very dependent on recognition from external recognition, that's the second thing that you should very carefully consider. Third, if your name still has meaning, even though every single title that you have earned is removed, then that is the key to a peaceful, and for me, is a very grounded and satisfying life. Let's say that you are high school students, you are earning degrees, earning certificates, you join 10,000 kinds of competitions and contests just to stand in the middle of the stage, holding a certificate and smile for the picture. Exactly. You collect titles, degrees, certificates, medals, and we also collect money. When we go and work, we want to make money for cars, for a house, for clothes, for investments, for a lot of things. And we also collect relationships. We join networking events, we do bondings. We just want to make good relationships last forever. And we want to collect friends, and we build family, we get married, we have kids. So we collect achievement, possessions, and relationships. And this is a cycle of what I call the collector mindset that I developed for this TEDx event specifically. First, if you are always in the cycle of collecting, you would define what you are lacking right now. I am lacking 1,000 billion Vietnam dong, for example. So that's my definition. And I would chase whatever that allows me to get what I want to collect. So I chase the next acquisition in my life. And then I attach the identity to that possession. I want to collect, let's say, a university degree. So I chase that degree and I identify myself as a student, a university student or a degree seeker. And then I would do my best to protect whatever I have collected, right? You have your possessions, you build fences around them and make sure that nobody is touching what you are owning, or you would never lose them, they would never be harmed. You would always live in fear that the collection would be gone. I remember one time I was sitting inside my house and then the fire alarm of the whole building goes on. And then I immediately grabbed my Buddha statues and my books and ran out of the house. And that moment helps me realize, I appreciate my Buddha statues and my book collection more than anything currently in that house of mine. So that's also some very interesting moments of the collector mindset that I was having. And fear of loss, fear of losing them, which would lead to keep collecting, to repair, to compensate, and to make sure the identity is satisfied by the collection that you are chasing after. And then the cycle repeats itself again. I'm not saying that collecting is a bad thing. It's a fantastic thing. We collect memories, experiences, friendships, all of the wonderful things that can change our lives, right? So how do we upgrade the collector mindset? How do we run away from being a collector? Who else would we become if we are not collecting, right? We would likely become what I call the becomer. So now it's the upgraded version of the collector mindset. So I call it the becomer mindset cycle. First, define what matters. What matters for you right now? Maybe it's not money. You want money to have good health, relationships. So health and relationships are the thing that matter to you the most, not money, right? Money is just the tool. It's a kind of energy that flows around. So define what truly matters to you and choose the next experience that helps you satisfy whatever you feel like that matters to you the most. It would lead you to allow experience to shape your identity. Why would I say allow experience to shape your identity? The previous cycle of collector, I said, it's about attach your identity to that possession. But this one, it's more flexible. You can be whoever you want at any situation. For example, I just went back to my hometown just last week, and I am not someone who talks a lot. But when I meet my relatives, I tend to be more, outspoken. I engage more. I become more extrovert. So I am very flexible with every situation that I'm on. My first job, my first job after graduation of a British university, I worked as a waiter for a coffee shop. So I watched every single customer that enter and leaves my coffee shop, how they behave to a waiter. Some treat me very badly, some treat me very well. And I tend to stand there in the corner of the reception and watch how they behave inside the coffee shop with the people who are serving them. So I am very flexible. And I believe that we should all be very flexible with our identity, which would lead us to accept the change in our lives. I thought of myself as someone very experienced in public speaking, writing, in general, a very professional person. But when I started my full-time job, the first comment, negative comment that I got from my manager is that I am not good at change management. It hit me right in the head because I thought I am always good. I must always be good at everything I do. But then that is also something that we have to embrace, to accept the thought that once you want to become something, you would need to learn that you are not perfect and you are full of flaws. And you need to accept that you are so imperfect, no matter who you are and whatever you have collected. Express your identity as well. A becomer that I would say would always allow themselves to express what they want, what they need, or what they do not like from other people. I would like to address it as creating boundaries in your life. You need to let people know what you allow to happen, what you do not allow to happen. I tend to be afraid to speak up when discussing work with my line manager, but then over time, I have grown myself, inside myself, a mindset. If I do not like or support something, I would raise my voice and I would observe the results. That's all. Your job is to raise your voice, to express your identity, to become something, but you don't have to agree with everybody else about what you are becoming or what you are doing. So, and the final aim is to grow yourself, to deepen the identity, and the cycle repeats itself. So, collector and becomer, you decide. This is your comfort zone, a circle. I think everybody would imagine a comfort zone as a circle. The circle could look like this, full of wounds, you have been hurt, you have been betrayed, you have failed so much. It's not perfect like this. It's ugly and it's full of flaws, as I have mentioned. And sometimes, this is also your comfort zone. It's not a circle. I'm not sure what this is. I'm not sure what these are as well, but these can all be your comfort zones, whoever's sitting down there. So do not let the society makes you think like your comfort zone has to be a circle. It can be in any shape, any size, and you can expand it anywhere, okay? Remember, the circle does not expand. It can grow in all kinds of directions and all kinds of shapes. So we're back to the theme of this whole TEDx event, the alphabet, the 26 letters. When I received the topic and the description of the whole theme, I thought they are very smart to have thought of the simplest thing ever, the alphabet that we have always learned at the beginning of our life, right? 26 letters, and the letter X is now being discussed. Choose it or not choose it, or choose any other letters. People would choose these letters, or whatever letters that you have in mind right now. But when I see the alphabet, I thought to myself, what do I do with the letters? Do I talk about A, B, or C, or X? The thing I want to talk about is the gap between the letters, the silent space, the transition, and the emptiness. Because let's imagine this, if you remove the gap, there would be no letter at all. It would be a random word, right? If you remove all the gaps, then there will be no letters. The letter exists separately because of the gap, right? So why don't you choose to be the gap instead? And what I mean by choosing the gap is because sometimes in life we fail, we feel hurt, we are betrayed, and we feel so negative that sometimes we want to undo our existence, right? And we need to celebrate those moments because we have overcome them. I love the word overcome. It's not just like surpass something, but you overcome something. You have become a greater version of yourself. You're not that little tiny person who is always insecure anymore. You are now different. And so we have to celebrate the gap. If you don't celebrate your gap, that's when you start losing yourself, losing who you are, and even worse, losing the potential of who you could become if you celebrate what you are missing, your imperfections. So choose the gap. And at the beginning of my writing journey and my podcast journey as well, the end of my podcast, it will always end with this sentence. At the end of the journal, one will see himself standing there. And thank you for listening to my podcast, The Jasmine Guy. It goes like that. It goes like that, okay? And my question is, can you face who you will have become at that time? I always think of the final moment of my life. It would be me staring into myself and then ask, are you happy with the version you have become right now? Are you happy with that person or not? So if my answer is yes, I have lived a worthy life. And I want everybody sitting down there to live a worthy life, to face yourself at the end of the tunnel as well. That's my goal, my ultimate goal. And so thank you for listening so much. And I am the Jasmine Guy. So these are my books. So I just want to send a very special thanks. So this is my TEDx journey so far. I've been to a lot of universities sharing my thoughts to my humble audience. And I'm very grateful to be standing here today at Mỹ High School from someone who came 2,000 kilometers away from where I started 6 years ago, and here I am right now. So do not let fear define you. Do not let anything define you ever. You define yourself. And as I said, be a becomer, not a collector. But start at a collector stage though, but move forward, okay? Thank you so much for listening.
A deeply resonant and beautiful reminder for us all. Thank you, Mr. Nam, for sharing that powerful message.
Một thông điệp thức tỉnh đầy sâu lắng và xin chân thành cảm ơn anh Nhật Nam. To arouse the atmosphere, we are honored to feature our second performance of the day. Please welcome to the stage CUS crew with a stimulating dance song, Kill This Love.
Để làm nóng lại không khí hội trường, xin mời quý vị cùng đến với tiết mục nhảy hiện đại cực kỳ bùng nổ đến từ câu lạc bộ CUS Crew mang tên Kill This Love.
It's a fire with him, I go woo. He's said you look crazy, thank you, baby, I'll eat all to you. I'm the old messed up, his love is my favorite, but you plus me, sadly, can be dangerous. Lucky you, 결국에 거짓말 we lie. So what, 만약에 내가 널 지우게 된다면 so sorry. I'm not sorry, 나 어떡해, 나약한 날 견딜 수 없어. 했던 눈물을 감춘 채 사랑의 숨통을 끊어야겠어. Let's kill this love. Yeah, 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 yeah. Rum-pa-pum-pa-pum-pa-pum. Let's kill this love. Rum-pa-pum-pa-pum-pa-pum. We all commit to love that makes you cry. Oh, we're all making love that kills you inside. Yeah, we must kill this love. Yeah, it's sad but true. Gotta kill this love before it kills you too. Kill this love. Yeah, it's sad but true. Gotta kill this love. Gotta kill. Let's kill this love.
Exceptional. Thank for this impressive performance. Xin quý vị hãy dành một tràng pháo tay thật nồng nhiệt nữa để cảm ơn câu lạc bộ TCSK.
We have just witnessed four extraordinary ideas and share a wonderful moments of connections to allow this concept to settle and to let us have a period of rest. We will now enter our official tea break. I encourage you to use this time to connect and share your reflections with one another and enjoy the refreshment available in foyer. Please ensure you return to your seat by 3:40 p.m. Thank you.
Thưa quý vị, chúng ta vừa đi qua 4 bài nói chứa đựng những tư tưởng mới lạ và đầy cảm xúc. Để các ý tưởng này có thời gian để lắng đọng, xin mời quý vị bước vào phần tiệc trà tea break. Hãy tận dụng khoảng thời gian này để thưởng thức tiệc nhẹ ngoài sảnh và cùng thảo luận với những người xung quanh nhé. Và xin lưu ý quay lại hội trường trước 15 giờ 40 phút. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I trust you had engaging conversation during the intermission.
Chào mừng quý vị quay trở lại. Hy vọng quý vị đã có những giây phút trò chuyện thú vị cùng bạn bè của mình.
We are now ready to commence the final segment of our program featuring our remaining two speakers of the day.
Và ngay bây giờ chúng ta sẽ đến với phần cuối cùng của chương trình cùng hai diễn giả vô cùng tuyệt vời của chúng tôi.
When we think of diamond, our mind naturally drifts to luxury and scarcity. But our fifth speaker today is here to challenge that narrative, offering a fascinatingly different perspective on this precious gem. Please turn your attention to the stage and give a warm welcome to Nguyễn Thị Hải Anh.
Khi nhắc đến kim cương, chúng ta thường nghĩ ngay đến sự xa xỉ và hiếm có. Những diễn giả thứ 5 của chúng ta sẽ mang đến một góc nhìn hoàn toàn khác về viên đá quý này. Hãy cùng hướng mắt lên sân khấu và dành một tràng pháo tay thật lớn để chào đón bạn Nguyễn Thị Hải Anh, speaker của chúng tôi.
Xin trân trọng kính mời bạn.
Imagine a diamond, not the one you see in a jewelry store. Imagine it millions of years ago, hidden deep beneath layers of dirt and rock, invisible, forgotten, and if no one ever dug it up, would it stop being a diamond? Obviously not. It would still be there, waiting to be discovered. And I think confidence is exactly the same. We often believe that confidence is something we have to build, or confident people are just born different. But what if we have been looking at it the wrong way? What if confidence isn't something we create, but something we uncover? Well, back every fear, every doubt, every time we tell ourselves, no, I'm not good enough, We aren't destroying the diamond. We're just simply burying it beneath another layer of dirt. So back then, when I was little, I loved performing. And whenever a relative came to my house, I would dance, I would tell story, I would sing without thinking twice. I wasn't wondering if I was good enough. I wasn't comparing myself with anyone else. I simply enjoyed being seen. But somewhere along the way, that little girl disappeared. Not because she lost her confidence, but because she gradually learned to fear judgment. And then, the older I got, the bigger the fear became. I just dropped my own letter C, not just C for confidence, but also C for courage. Then I realized a fun fact. Think about a little child learning to work. They don't stand up and ask, what if I fall? They fall again and again, thousands of times. Nobody calls those failure. We call them learning. But somewhere between childhood and adulthood, something changed. We stopped asking, what can I learn? Instead, we start asking, what if I embarrass myself? We became expert at protecting ourselves from failure, and unfortunately, we also protect ourselves from growth. So why do we keep burying our own diamond? Perhaps it's because we often believe that diamonds are something precious, distant, or reserved for only extraordinary people. So we might just end up giving up on this discovery. But gemologists see diamond differently. Before they admire a diamond beauty, they will look at what it knows at the 4C. Cut, color, clarity, and carat. They don't create the diamond value. They just simply review and recognize what is already there. And I think confidence works in a similar way. We don't need to become someone louder, brighter, or more extraordinary. We don't need to add new color to who we are. We simply need the courage to uncover our own. Because perhaps confidence had never been about becoming someone else. It's about finally allowing the person you have always been to shine. So a couple of months ago, I signed up for my very first debate competition. To be honest, I had never spoken in front of an audience before. And suddenly, I was expected to stand on the stage and speak for almost 8 minutes straight. I was terrified. The night before the competition, I couldn't stop thinking, what if I forget everything? What if people think I sound ridiculous? Or what if I'm simply not good enough? Standing backstage, my hands were shaking, my heart was racing, and I kept looking at the door, wondering should I just leave before my name was called? Then I realized something. Fear wasn't telling me I couldn't do it. Fear was only asking me one question. Are you going to let me decide who you become? And for the first time, I answered, no. I walked into the stage. I start speaking. The first few seconds were too scary. But then something changed. I stopped thinking about how I look. I stopped wondering about whether people think I sound perfect or even ridiculous. I became completely ready and focused on what I want to say. And when the round ended, I felt relieved, not because I had done something amazingly well, but because I had done something that I once believed I couldn't do. And then, when the results were announced, to my complete surprise, I was ranked as the top 1 speaker in my very first debate competition. I was speechless, not because of the ranking, but because it's proof that the moment I stopped letting fear decide for me, I became capable of far more than I had ever imagined. That competition didn't just train how I understood how I saw debate, it's also trained how I understood confidence. Because whenever I look back, I realized I hadn't become confident overnight. I simply uncovered one layer at a time. The first layer was perfection. For years, I thought I had to sound fluent before speaking English. I thought I had to write a full and perfect speech before joining competitions, or I thought I had to feel completely ready before raising my hand in my class. But perfection has a strange way of keeping us still. So I just made one small rule for myself. If an opportunity excited me and scared me at the same time, I would say yes first and figure it out later. That's how I joined debate. And eventually, that's how I end up standing on this stage today. The second layer was comparison. Every time I work onto a debate room, there was always someone with better skill, better ability, better pronunciation, or more experience. And for a long time, I believed confidence belonged to them. Then one day, I changed only one question. Instead of asking, am I the best person in this room? I start asking, am I a little better than the person I was yesterday? Because confidence isn't a competition against other people. It's just a conversation with your past self. The third layer was rating. I used to think that confidence came first, that one day I would wake up and suddenly feel ready. But that day never came. What came instead was an opportunity. Someone asking me for direction in English. See, there was no time to prepare, no time to overthink. I simply spoke, not perfectly, just honestly. And that's when I realized something. Confidence had never been waiting for me. It had been waiting for my first step. Because confidence never came first, action did. Also, fear is clever. It's almost never say, don't do it. Instead, it's whisper, wait until you're more ready. But ready is a moving target. If we wait until we're fearless or ready, we may spend our entire life waiting. And every time I choose courage over comfort, I just remove one more layer. And little by little, the diamond became easier to see. Since then, I haven't suddenly become fearless. I still get nervous before my competitions. I still overthink and I still doubt myself. The difference is, I no longer wait for confidence to arrive. I act first, and confidence catch up later. And if I had never taken the very first debate competition, I might never have believed that I could communicate with people confidently. I might have missed countless friendship, future opportunities, and perhaps even the confidence to stand on this stage today. Not because a word trained my whole life, but because a small act trained the story I believe about myself. So today, I don't want you to remember my story. I want you to remember yours. Now, think of one thing you have always been avoiding. Not your biggest dream, just one small step. One conversation, one beginning, one opportunity. Then ask yourself, what one layer has been covering my diamond? And more importantly, what one layer that I can remove today? Because diamonds aren't uncovered all at once, neither are people. And at the beginning of my talk, I asked you to imagine a diamond. Now, I would like to ask you to imagine something else. What if I told you that somewhere inside each of us, there's another version of yourself, one that is braver, kinder, or more curious, but buried beneath layers of fears? I think every one of us here already carry a diamond mind. The question is, if the diamond is already there, why do so many of us spend our life never seeing it? Perhaps it's because we keep adding another layer. One layer called fear, another called self-doubt, and another called, what if I'm not enough? Until eventually, we forget there was ever a diamond underneath. Maybe that version isn't waiting for you in the future. Maybe it has been there all along, hidden deep beneath perfection, beneath comparison, and beneath every moment you choose comfort over courage. You don't have to become someone else. You simply need the courage to uncover and remove one more layer. Because the greatest diamond you ever discover isn't buried beneath the ground. It's buried beneath the story you have always been telling yourself about who you can become. And maybe the first layer that you will remove begins today. Thank you.
An illuminating and awakening speak about our own diamond and your own self. Thank you.
Một bài nói thật truyền cảm hứng về viên kim cương bên trong mỗi chúng ta, và xin chân thành cảm ơn bạn Hải Anh.
And we are all being taught the blueprint for the success. Follow the steps, check the boxes, play it safe and stay within the boundary. But what happened when standard expectations aren't enough? And what happened when a woman derives her worth only from external validations? She gets confused, and as our next speaker reminds us, a confused woman is a dependent woman. Please give a warm welcome to our final speaker, Nguyễn Phạm Hiền Minh.
Có lẽ chúng ta đều được dạy về một công thức thành công an toàn, làm theo từng bước, tích vào các ô tiêu chuẩn và sống trong vùng an toàn. Nhưng liệu chuyện gì sẽ xảy ra khi những kỳ vọng thông thường không đủ? Chuyện gì sẽ xảy ra khi một người phụ nữ chỉ tìm kiếm giá trị bản thân từ sự công nhận bên ngoài? Như diễn giả tiếp theo của chúng ta nhắn gửi, một người phụ nữ mơ hồ là một người phụ nữ phụ thuộc. Xin dành một tràng pháo tay thật nồng nhiệt cho diễn giả cuối cùng của sự kiện, bạn Nguyễn Phạm Hiền Minh.
Trước hết thì mình đang muốn gửi lời cảm ơn đến tất cả mọi người vì đã có mặt đến tận bây giờ để nghe Minh nói. Và in English, thank you everyone for having me today, especially Mỹ Đức High School for having me today, and thank you for staying until now. So, let's get started. It hurts my heart whenever I heard this quote from the Barbie movie. It says, "Being a woman is literally impossible. We always have to be extraordinary, but somehow we always did it wrong. We have to be thin. You have to be thin, but not too thin. But also, you cannot say that you want to be thin. You have to say that you want to be healthy, but at the same time, you have to be thin. You have to have money, but cannot ask for it because it sounds stupid. You have to be a good mom, but not talking about your kids 24/7. You have to be a boss, but also have at the same time seeing everybody's idea. We are currently living in the world when we are our favorite thing is to tell women what should they do, who they going and who they should be. Be brilliant, but not be too loud. Be independent, but don't make your men feel guilty or inconfident. Being caring, be who you are. But is it really being who you are when you told her to do what she doesn't believe is who she are? Which makes women always have to second thinking about who she is. What is she doing this for? Where is she going at the end of the day, right? Which makes a woman very easily directed. And I believe a confused woman is a dependent woman. Look at this picture. I don't know if you can recognize her. Her name is 𝐓rao. She is a very well-educated woman. She loves to read books. She's smart. She's pretty. But her all identity and life depended on a woman who dumped her because he said that she wasn't serious enough. But later on, she got into Harvard Law and she reclaimed her energy. But I don't think this is something that all women can do, especially in the countries like Vietnam or in the Asia, where women are seeking for external validations. And this leads me to think, what happens when a woman doesn't know who she is outside the external validation? What if she cannot find a mirror that told her how much she's worth, who she is, where she should go? What will everything goes? She become confused, right? Confused about her value, about how worthy she is, about her capabilities and her directions. Where should she go? What is the final destination for her, right? And because she is confused, she becomes dependent. Dependent for other external validations to tell her that, oh, you're good enough or not, but not her own validation of herself. And at this time, dependency feels like a shelter because yes, it makes you feel safe. It doesn't make you to make new decisions. It doesn't require you to step out there and facing the barriers that are trying to fight back you. But actually, I think dependency is a cage. I know this because my mom had this one friend. She is smart, she's pretty, just like 𝐓rao. But one thing about it, she has an abusive husband who hit her while she was pregnant and make her bleeding, right? And that make me think about why does women tend to accept this more and accept these situations in these days, even when they're educated? Maybe because they're confused. Maybe because they're not aware of how much and how are they worth and how should they be treated. And I started thinking, how can we stop this cycle? And it leads me to a conclusion that a woman has to stop asking for permission and start reclaiming her worth. And how could she do this? Self-upgrading. But I don't think self-upgrading is about being perfect. You don't need to be flawless to be a legendary. You don't need to be flawless to be impactful. But self-upgrading is about actively expanding yourself. It's about going outside that big world, seeing new people, talking to new people, to know who you actually are and what you actually want. It is about sharpening your intellect so you are aware of your rights, aware of who you are, and aware of what the world gives you. And it is about owning your own narrative. So a man won't tell you that only thing that you should do is going into the kitchen and do the dinner. I believe that confusion is only gone when dependency is gone. And as long as confusion is gone, dependency vanishes with it. And when you leave this room, I want you to ask yourself this question. Am I staying confused because it's easier to step out of my comfort zone? Am I staying confused because it's much easier than being aware but safe and aware of your own values? And the other one thing that I want all you guys, all these women in this room, all women out there to remember is that the world makes things seem harder and more complicated than this actually is on purpose. Because they want you to be confused. Because they want you to not being aware of who you are and what is really worthy for you. And that's the reason why you should get out that cycle and start making your own life. And I hope by this end of the day, every woman in this room will be aware and not confused. And I'm Hiên. Thank you for listening.
Six powerful voice, six groundbreaking ideas, and two stunning performances have finished our program today. Ladies and gentlemen, let's host one final resounding round of applause for all of our speakers and performers today.
Một thông điệp đầy sức mạnh và bản lĩnh, và xin chân thành cảm ơn bạn Hiền Minh. 6 giọng nói truyền cảm hứng, 6 ý tưởng mới mẻ cùng 2 tiết mục nghệ thuật đầy tính mãn nhãn đã chính thức khép lại chương trình ngày hôm nay. Hãy dành một tràng pháo tay thật lớn nữa cho tất cả những các diễn giả và nghệ sĩ của chúng ta.
At this moment, I would like to respectfully invite our chief organizer, 𝐓hiết 𝐁ị 𝐒ự to the stage to deliver a few words and give our sincere thanks.
Và ngay sau đây, xin trân trọng kính mời bạn 𝐓hiết 𝐁ị, trưởng ban điều hành của TEDx Mỹ Đức A, lên sân khấu có đôi lời phát biểu tri ân. Xin trân trọng kính mời bạn.
Thank you. Hi everyone. I couldn't say I'm so nervous and happy right now to see everyone here enjoy our event. Okay, so our event is so near to the close. So I want to say thank you to 6 incredible talks, to our dedicated team, and all of you here in this venue. We're so happy to hold this event. Like, it's the first time here, and we are trying so hard to bring it to our region. So please take back your experience to your community. Stay curious and drive positive change. Yeah, thank you again. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, 𝐓hiết 𝐁ị. It's now our honor to invite all 6 speakers and the distinguished school delegate to step onto the stage to accept our commemorative gift and join it for some meaningful photos. And I would like to invite our organizing team to the stage to give our special gift to our speaker and our guests.
Trân trọng cảm ơn 𝐓hiết 𝐁ị. Sau đây ban tổ chức xin trân trọng kính mời 6 diễn giả cùng đại diện ban giám hiệu nhà trường tiến lên sân khấu để nhận quà lưu niệm từ ban tổ chức. Xin trân trọng cảm ơn.
Và xin kính mời ban tổ chức sẽ lên trao phần quà cho 6 diễn giả và khách mời của chúng ta ngày hôm nay. Xin trân trọng kính mời.
Trèo lên đỉnh núi cao vời vợi để ta khắc tên mình trên đời, dù ta biết gian nan đang chờ đón và trái tim vẫn âm thầm, ta bước đi hướng tới muôn vì sao. Đằng đường nào trải bước trên hoa hồng, và chân cũng thấm đau vì những mũi gai. Đường vinh quang đi qua muôn ngàn sóng gió, lời hứa ghi trong tim mình vẫn bước đi hiên ngang đầu ngẩng cao. Mà con tim ta đã ước
From a warm and resounding round of applause.
ta chia sẻ cùng nhau. Ngày đó sẽ không xa xôi, và chúng ta là người
Vâng, xin chân thành cảm ơn.
And right now, all of you can come to the stage to have memorable photos with the organizing committees and our speakers.
Xin trân trọng kính mời thầy Nguyễn Sĩ Chiến và cô Đăng Thị Thu Nga tiến lên sân khấu chụp ảnh lưu niệm cùng.
Đường đến những ngày vinh quang không còn xa, dù khó khăn vẫn còn.
Xin trân trọng kính mời cô Dung, thầy Đồng, cô Trang tiến lên sân khấu chụp ảnh lưu niệm cùng các diễn giả. Xin trân trọng kính mời các thầy cô.
Và mặt trời rực sáng trên cao vời, ban sức sống huy hoàng
Không ạ, một lát nữa ban tổ chức sẽ tiến lên chụp ạ. Bây giờ cứ để cho các thầy cô chụp ạ.
Khoảnh khắc ghi trong tim hồng, bao khó khăn ta cũng sẽ vượt qua. Và con tim ta đã ước hẹn cùng nhau, vai vai để vinh quang ta chia sẻ cùng nhau. Ngày đó sẽ không xa xôi.
Vâng, chúng ta hãy cùng nhau lưu lại những kỷ niệm đẹp của buổi TEDx Media High School ngày hôm nay.
Vinh quang không còn xa. Ngày đó sẽ không xa xôi, và chúng ta là người chiến thắng. Đường đến những ngày vinh quang.
Sau đây xin mời ban tổ chức của TEDx Media High School Youth sẽ tiến lên sân khấu chụp ảnh cùng 6 diễn giả của chúng ta.
Ngày đó sẽ không xa xôi, và chúng ta là người chiến thắng. Đường đến những ngày vinh quang, con đường chúng ta đã chọn.
And finally, thank you our audience for your presence and your focused attention and your shared commitment to ideas that matter. As you leave this hall today, we hope you carry conversations forward into the workplace, your home and your communities. This talk maybe have ended, but the impact of this idea is just beginning. Thank you for being part of TEDx Media High School Youth 2026. Have a pleasant evening and a safe journey home. Thank you so much.